Hi, this is Celeste, and this is the Celestial Report, Healthy Monday. And I have a very special guest with me today, and her name is, I'm just going to say Dr. Daria. And we got to know each other because on my trip back east, I was so impressed with the Beamer. Here I had pneumonia, and I was speaking at Red Pill, and Daria was one of the vendors at Red Pill, and she like wrapped me up in the Beamer. I think maybe I lay down on the Beamer too. And then all the vendors just, you know, piled on me. And I actually was able to give my presentation, and I was so impressed. So, welcome, Daria.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's such a blessing to be with you and to have met you. And it was very kind of I think it was another exhibitor who brought you over to my table and said, you got to help Celeste. She can't talk. She's got laryngitis. It's like, oh, we can do that. So that night before the talk, I think we put you in on the seat cushion. It's an optional applicator. And then I wrapped the bee pad around your neck. And I did not, I'm sorry, I'm a little underprepared, so I don't have the device on display, but you can go to my website and see all the components that are currently available in the U.S. And I'm an independent business distributor for Beamer in the United States of America. And in my prior life, I was a brain surgeon, so I'm retired from that.
So that's your background, is you're a brain surgeon, and then you discovered other modalities besides surgery. So
well, because Celeste really, I mean, even when I was in practice, to do the right surgery for the right reason on the right patient, you don't operate on everybody that comes in your door. I might see 20 people to schedule one elective back operation or carpal tunnel operation, which is actually what I had to have done. That's why I had to retire, because I had severe nerve damage in both hands. And because of my background prior to that in pharmacy before going into medicine, I looked at everything. And one of my favorite classes in pharmacy school, I have to go way, way back with this, because one of my favorite classes was natural medicines. So I was always open to the possibility that we have to use other healing techniques outside of surgery. Surgery is has a very specific purpose. It's like having multiple tools in the toolbox, and you have to select the right tool for the job. And even surgery alone does not get done unless you do preliminary treatment, proper diagnosis, exclude other non-operative treatments that could fix the problem. And on the back end, rehabilitation and therapy. And this is where Beamer comes in, because it's a therapeutic device for any level of physical condition, ailment, whatever. It doesn't have a specific medical indication of any kind. So I call it a health wellness maintenance device. Think of it like your toothbrush. And if you can get your body blood flow working better, you have better biologic function, and your body has better self-repair and maintenance capabilities. And that's the most important thing I can say about Beamer. And why I was so attracted to it, because in neurosurgery, I had to use electromedicine techniques all the time. We used nerve stimulators, spinal cord stimulators, brain leads, deep brain stimulators. We were sticking wires in people all over the place, or using TENS units on the surface, or electrical powered muscle stimulators. And only recently was Beamer given the title of a powered muscle stimulator, but it doesn't work at all like any other muscle stimulator in that category that the FDA cleared it to in class 2, which means safe, and proven effective for what it's claimed to do. You know, in other words, they did the homework, they did the research, and they proved it. And with a 25-year track record, that's where Beamer fell into a therapeutic and a health maintenance wellness modality. It used to be in class 1 before it got graduated up to the class 2 clearance. FDA had it cleared as a class 1 wellness device, which means it was proven safe. And it was in with all of the other wellness devices and things that are called PEMF and other types of machines that sought FDA clearance, but also with massage therapy devices. So Beamer got bumped out of that category and up into class 2 when the proven reproducible effectiveness on microcirculation was demonstrated and across all levels of health conditions and populations. So that is, I think reason why it resonated, and I'm using that word resonance again here, it resonated with me because it's like, I got it. I know that we can apply energy. We know bad energy, and Celeste, you're an expert in this, to the nth degree. Bad energy makes us sick. Why can't good energy help make us healthy, support our body to heal itself and work with the Earth's natural energy fields and energy rhythms and waveforms? So we've got bad signals coming at us. We can direct good signals to our body to help counteract that. So in a way, it's sort of a countermeasure for the unhealthy energy that gets thrown at us.
Absolutely. I think we should show everyone that's viewing that really impressive video of what it does for our microcirculation. So, can you run that video, John?
Yeah, and I'll just give you a quick background. This is intravital microscopy. It's a very expensive machine that was placed in a human volunteer's belly to look at the surface of the intestine where all the microscopic blood vessels are. And that's what we're looking at here. So now if you can play the audio with it, there you go.
You'll also notice, and on the venular side, you'll see very few white blood cells on the edges. You'll look rolling around. So that means the immune system is also not well activated. You're going to see here, there's also diminished vasomotion. There's no movement you would see on the left side of that arteriole. I haven't seen any. There's restricted blood flow. Like I said, the white blood cells aren't circulating, and this equals poor perfusion. Too much of this going on, you're going to feel tired. You're going to feel sluggishness. So I want to take a look at what happens after the Beamer was turned on after 3 minutes of treatment, or for the non-practitioners and clinicians out there, 3 minutes after application. As this comes to your screen, you'll start to already see the increase in flow, the increase in movement. You can see the capillary open up. There's increased arterial flow. And what you can also see is increased venular flow returning back to the lungs to recycle, to bring out, and to remove those metabolic wastes that the body has created. You'll also see, after 6 minutes of stimulation here, the increase in the white blood cells. Pay special attention on the right side of the white blood cells rolling through the endothelial or over the endothelial walls. That's like cops being out on the street protecting you. That's your mobile immune system. And when your blood's moving, your immune system working. And if your blood is not functionally moving, you can't possibly have a functional immune system. Therefore, you're not protected. Think about it this way. If you're perfused, you're protected. Support yourself, support your immune system through healthy blood flow. And we're going to see also when the Beamer was shut off after 8 minutes, they followed and did a 30-minute video and looked at the lingering or the ongoing effects of Beamer after 30 minutes. So now this person's been off the Beamer for 22 minutes. And look at what we're looking at. This effect can last up through 18 hours and maybe more, and for some less rather. But the fact is, Beamer is incredible at supporting your blood flow.
So that is amazing. And to be honest, that was one of the things that sold me on the Beamer and to make an investment, because it is an investment. So, can you tell us a little bit how you discovered Beamer, and then what does the Beamer do?
Well, Celeste, that's great, because I discovered Beamer in 2017 at the first Red Pill Expo in Bozeman, Montana. And at the time, I was not feeling well. I was having a lot of joint pains and swelling. And now here I am. At the time I went to Red Pill, about 3.5 years. Is that right? Yeah, 3.5 years, almost 4.5 years out from my hand injury that ended my neurosurgery career. So if one thinks that you're retired, and I'm, I was able to live off some of my retirement money, that you would be able to have less stress in your life. And yet here I am still declining in health and low energy. And I had injured my pinky finger with a sprain and it wasn't recovering. It happened. I jammed it really bad. You ever fall and just land on something? And it was like that for 5 months since January of 2017. And then when I saw the equipment at the exhibit display from the lady who I eventually ordered mine from and sponsored me to be a distributor myself, I said, "Oh, what is that?" Because it looked like a piece of sophisticated medical equipment you'd see in a therapist's office to work on someone. And she had 2 massage tables out like I currently have set up. And she says, "Oh, have you ever heard of Beamer?" And I said, "No." And then she showed me this green screen video. And at Red Pill Expo, we see all kinds of unique alternative wellness and health options that I really had not done research on, so I knew nothing about. So I was going into this with all of these things with open-minded skepticism. It's like, how does this fit into our lives effectively, and what's really behind it? And Beamer had the science. I literally was so intrigued by the video when Sue showed it to me. I said to her, I said, "This is a real human." I said, "They're not doctoring this." And she was so proud of the company that they have such integrity that they would only exhibit something that they proved. And I got a good vibe. You're talking about picking up on your intuition. I had a positive intuition about this. So she goes, "Would you like to try it?" And I said, "Yes, I would." And so I got on the Beamer and she goes, "Do you have any area of discomfort?" And so I told her about my pinky finger. I already had the permanent nerve damage in both my hands, but I told her about my pinky finger because that was a newer injury. And I thought, well, if this is improving blood flow as this video shows, maybe this will help it recover. And I had zero expectations. So she laid me on the table, gave me a basic 8-minute session, but also had the applicator, which is the spot, it was about the size of a hockey puck, and put that on my belly. And then I laid my hand on it. And the signal goes out both sides on these applicators. So it was actually going into my gut. At the same time, it was going up to my hand. And after that 8-minute period, I had no change immediately. And she goes, "Don't expect anything right away. You're not going to feel anything." So I said, "Okay." I wasn't expecting anything. And nothing else changed that day. She goes, "Let me know tomorrow how you slept last night and how your hand feels." Sure enough, I slept like a baby. Kind of forgot she said that. But then I remembered, oh, wait, check your hand. So I checked my finger and I could bend it. And all the swelling and stiffness that was there constantly for 5 months was gone. And I literally looked at my finger and went, "Oh my heavens, this thing really works. I got to find out what it's doing." And that was, sort of an epiphany. So then the whole next day, I ran up and I told her that. I went back later in the day and got another session. And I was so intrigued by what I was finding on the internet in pubmed.gov and the research I could access through my medical library contacts with ResearchGate. And I found tremendous amount of information and scientific research on microcirculation and on the Beamer's effect. And that was very intriguing, including some clinical studies. So what little bit I could, sort of inhale while Red Pill's going on, I'm sitting in there on my device trying to find these articles at the same time. So I was multitasking again. But I said, I'm going to get one of these. I think I need this. And sure enough, over daily use over the next several months, my discomforts that were affecting my mobility started to improve first. So I even had a knee issue that I thought was going to require surgery by the end of the year of 2017. And I still have not had surgery on that knee because it recovered on its own. My body healed itself. So my first impression was this device supports your body to heal yourself. And when I said that to her, she goes, oh, exactly. And I had a Tyranny Response Team shirt on, so I did not look like a brain surgeon. So I handed her my card, and she was like, oh, you're a doctor. Oh, and I started peppering her with a bunch of science questions she couldn't answer because her prior background was as an accountant. And they have, Beamer has policy that you don't get too much into the science weeds unless you're talking to another doctor and you're a doctor yourself. So, and that's just to stay compliant with the FDA requirements for disclosures. And we've seen so many people that have good, healthy solutions get blasted by the FDA because they were accused of making false claims or misleading claims. So Beamer is very much remaining compliant in everything they say in marketing to be compliant with the FDA approval process so they don't get kicked out of the USA because this is a huge market for Beamer. And so that's why I'm cautious when I speak, unless I'm literally talking to one of my colleagues and I can safely discuss clinical issues. And Beamer does have a medical Monday for the medical clinicians, including therapists and chiropractors. I mean, it's anybody who's a caregiver like that can get into these technical calls, and it's compliant because they're not even recorded. So you have to be there live to talk with your colleagues, if it's going to be online, about how they're applying it in their own practices, be they massage therapists or physical therapists or physicians or chiropractors. We've had all manner of providers in there speaking and practitioners. So it's not just MDs or DOs. It's anybody that's in the healing arts. I like to use that word. So yeah, that's how I found it. And I've been using it ever since, and my body keeps getting better. So I'm grateful for that.
And that's a good thing. So, of course, we have very lively viewers. And so, of course, questions are going to start popping up. I've got this, I've got that.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, not specifics, what types of conditions could Beamer address, just generally speaking?
Well, one of the terrific things about Beamer is because it's improving blood flow, like we saw in that video. And Dr. Burka is very eloquent in the little 18-minute, when we have time to get that on, specifically talking about these various issues. That's why I wanted to use his words in his presentation to most clearly communicate the Beamer benefits and effects. First of all, everyone gets better blood flow, better oxygen delivery to tissue at the microscopic cellular level. So no matter what's going on, everybody needs oxygen, right?
Yep.
And everybody needs to be able to flush out the byproducts of the cells that need to be eliminated. So by improving that flow with the signal of Beamer, restoring what is normal microcirculation function of the body, Beamer's just repacing you using the pace of the rhythm of the microscopic vessels to get them back. That's the powered muscle stimulator effect on the smooth muscle in the blood vessels. So in other parts of the world, outside of the USA, for example, in Canada, the actual indication is not powered muscle stimulator, it's physical vascular therapy. So depending on what country you're in, it's going to be described differently. But the actual effect on the stimulation of the muscles in the walls of the blood vessels in that stimulation is a flow control or a flow restoration or support function. So we're using better blood flow, better oxygen delivery, better tissue uptake of oxygen into the cells. These were all measured in that microcirculation research and clinical research early on, over 20 years ago, or at least 15 years ago. And this is the data that's been published in the literature. Now, the second thing is, what does that accomplish? And I think a big piece of this in terms of people feeling better, getting better sleep is huge, because that's when your body's doing self-repair. So that part of stimulating muscles also helps to relax them. And I hope I'm not rambling too much, but one of the things that was noted with the horse application, Beamer has a equine unit for horses. And the equine unit, the trainers noticed that the relaxation the animal was getting was balancing out their sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So the fight or flight, the stress and agitation, they get in that vicious cycle where they can hurt themselves, is balanced out so they can calm back down. And the Beamer blanket that you put on the horse actually gives them a little power nap. And one of the things the trainers noticed after the animals had the Beamer treatment was that their muscles were more supple. They could just feel it. And massage therapists describe that, and physical therapists and chiropractors. So if your muscles are more supple, that means they're operating the way they should. They're tightening up when they need to and relaxing when they need to, not just at the microscopic blood vessel level, but at the macro, skeletal muscle level. And so how does that help people? Well, if you're an athlete or you have to perform physically, you don't want to injure yourself. You want to be able to maximize your competitive athletic performance. So what better way to do that than to optimize oxygen delivery to tissue? And that's where Beamer is a game changer. And then at the end of the competition or training, how do you get rid of all that extra metabolic byproducts? You want to flush them out. So you stay well hydrated, but also that Beamer helps with the recovery side by optimizing the flow through the drainage system, which was on that short video we saw, was on the right side of the screen. That's where those white blood cells that Dr. Burko was describing were flowing. And what struck me about that video, and here's another benefit, if you will, is Beamer, when it was studied clinically, was found to have a modulatory effect on the immune system. Now, why is that? Well, if your blood's flowing better, your white blood cells are flowing better too. So if your white blood cells can get into your tissues and they can gobble up all that garbage that's being secreted from those cells when it's no longer needed and hauling it off, that it's taking out the trash. Your immune system's helping clear away the inflammation, but it has to be able to drain. So I think it's very powerful, the drainage side of the blood flow that we kind of don't talk about or study very much. Matter of fact, this whole idea of the microscopic blood vessels having a rhythmic pace really wasn't addressed in terms of its clinical importance in med school. I had to literally teach myself about vasomotion. And yet the cell biologist knew about this for 100 years. Oh yeah, blood vessels pump. It's like, well, why don't people care about this? Yeah, but Beamer did. Dr. Klopp did, and so they said, well, we can make this work, very efficiently, very safely, and that's what he was able to dial in and get the sweet spot to get this really long duration of effect, because you're putting the body back into its proper autopilot, and the low energy and short duration 8 minutes of the treatment twice a day to have that effect last at that higher level for a minimum of 12 to 16 hours. And many people, Celeste, you can attest to this, how long you felt better when you were already sort of behind the 8 ball stressed at the red pill, how long you had a benefit from that before you started to go back to your baseline, before you had your own Beamer,
Yeah, actually, it's kind of, I think the things that I notice about it are when I have a Beamer treatment, I am much more relaxed, which that does help blood flow. Just, if you're not all tensed up, then your blood is flowing easier than if you're all tensed up. And I have this, it's like a warm sensation. It's kind of like, for me, everybody has this, but for me, it feels like getting into a very comfortable, warm, not hot, just warm. And I think that's because my blood is flowing, because I sit here at the broadcasting or at the computer or whatever. So sometimes I don't always get the physical activity that I should get. And then another thing that I noticed, I have to laugh, because when you started talking about the horse blanket, what I found both with somebody I know that has a Beamer and my own dog, they tend to hog in You'll notice them sitting on the side of the beamer pad because it's like a mat and you just roll out. It kind of looks like a sleeping bag, but you don't crawl in it. You just lay on top of it. And so the dog will be over on the side, Mississippi. And then all of a sudden she's like scrunching over and she's wanting to push me off and to get her treatment. So this is actually something that not only you can use, but also your animals too, because they love it. And I watched this other dog take over the my friend's beamer, so it is a common thing. It relaxes them. It does the same things I would assume for animals that it does for people. So I think that's kind of fun.
Oh, that's so true. And what's amazing about it is the uh, fact that animals can pick up on this, just like they can pick up on changes in the ground or in the weather. Their sensitivities, they're more alert to these things than we are.
Yes.
So they have a different level of situational awareness to their surroundings that's at a level that's in their consciousness, but perhaps not directly in ours. For example, I saw some YouTube videos from these recent earthquakes where cats could start feeling something was happening before the earthquake hit. And there is electromagnetic activity that's changing in the earth, in the ground, ahead of the actual earthquake. And so you could tell if there's electromagnetic activity coming out of the beamer that the animal is attracted to. It's because it's helping them relax. And it's the one I will tell you, as far as I don't compare beamer to a lot of different things, but there is this practice that some people do called earthing or grounding. And yes. I don't like specifically study it other than I'm aware that you have to spend a certain amount of time barefoot in the grass. But it's like, oh, yeah, well, I've always enjoyed laying on a picnic blanket on a nice sunny day and just relaxing. All these things help you get to that more relaxed state where you are in almost a meditative type state or a prayer state. And the same with laying on a beach blanket on the beach. It's like, okay, oh, thank gosh, I have no worries. You just have this I call it 8 minutes of bliss when you're on the beamer. And I think the animals experience that too. So I incorporate my morning and evening prayers with my beamer time. And it's very, very elevating, I must say. It's very profound. At least I have seen that, where I get more out of both, and so it's a synergistic type practice. So it's a time to relax and maybe think of nothing for a while. Feng shui in your head. We were talking about feng shui earlier. And
or to pray.
Pray. Oh, absolutely pray.
Because because you're not distracted, you're in this relaxed state, and so that helps facilitate your prayer life immensely, or at least it has in my case. And I know we've talked personally, so I know that it has in yours as well. Well, we've got some questions here, and
yes.
Let's see, I'm going to go backwards, everybody. So if you asked at the top, I will get to your question. I'm working my way up the tango line instead of down the tango line. So, so this one person asks, also, how does this compare to the frequency therapy like that offered by Sound Health? And basically, in addition to that question, I would like to add, so I bought another device that I call a blow dryer. It has a Tesla coil in it. And I had tried out a very specific one. I thought I got the right information. And so I bought the product. It's kind of like a blow dryer, but it has this Tesla coil. It's really good. When I got it, I found out that it was a knockoff. So there are a lot of knockoffs and things, especially as this is pretty new to all of us. How do we So this person is asking, how does it compare to this frequency by Sherry Edwards at Sound Health? And my question, I guess, folds into that. How can we, I know that maybe, are there knockoffs for Beamer? And at least in my experience, you get what you pay for. But what are your thoughts, Daria?
Well, boy, is that a loaded question. And I
Yeah.
get it all the time. So I do welcome it because it is a legitimate inquiry. First of all, Dr. Burka, the reason I wanted to share this Wellness Wednesday, which I can send and share that link with everyone. Let me see, how do I get that to you? Shoot. It's basically, if John can go back to the Vimeo link I sent before I was able to send you the clip, that Vimeo link, if you guys can track that down and put it in the chat, will be the entire 1 hour presentation that is public. That is available to be shared to the public of Dr. Burka's first 18 minutes, that 19 minutes that you just saw, plus the guest he had on, Dr. Wild in, it's WYLDE, I think, in Toronto. And he's a pretty well-renowned wellness expert and in aging as well, healthy aging. So the first thing I want to say is that Beamer is in a class by itself, literally, because it is the only pulsed electromagnetic field platform. That's a delivery mechanism. That's a class 2 cleared by the FDA, specific powered muscle stimulator. That means that no other device has submitted clinical research that is able to put them in that clearance by the FDA as a powered muscle stimulator. So it's in a class by itself in terms of pulsed electromagnetic field devices. The reason that's important is because of exactly what Dr. Burka said. The signal and the waveform drive the effect. And since this is working on a natural effect of your body, it is allowing your body to help itself. And I'm going to say it right now. I say it all the time. It was my own saying I thought up. When people start peppering me with questions about specific medical diagnoses, what do I say? I say, Beamer will make no promise that your body can't keep. And that's an honest to God truth. If your body has a physical capacity to heal, and we know that God created a miraculous vehicle for our soul. And that is what, for people who aren't spiritual, they miss this. I marvel at it every day. When you look at the complexity of our bodily functions, and to have one dedicated scientist and doctor, because Dr. Klopp was a MD, doctor, internal medicine specialist, and a PhD physicist who was able to mesh together the physics with the biology and get it into this useful form. So in other words, when you say PEMF, we don't know what the signal and the waveform and the frequency and the energy intensities are of those products. So, and we don't have the physiologic measurements with the intravital microscopy, with the laser flow Doppler to compare if they have any effect on blood flow. So that makes the question difficult to answer, because once they start doing that, once these other products start measuring their biological effect of their specific branded product, then we can do some side-by-side comparison. And
it's kind of like the old adage, to simplify it: compare an apple with an apple, compare an orange with an orange. Don't try and compare an apple to an orange, because it just doesn't work that way, right?
Exactly. And one of the things that Dr. Burka emphasized, and what has been so important, is that the Beamer signal, Beamer Company as a corporation has 6 right now international patents on this device. And they have a 7th one, because there's an updated model coming out in July of this year. It's already cleared in Canada and it's coming here. It's going to have the same basic functionality but it's got just some slight variations that were requested by the FDA because of the category they were put in. So to be compliant and also to give it an updated design on the control box, that's coming in July. And yes, it will be more expensive. So I fully intend to keep using mine on my bed the way I'm using it right now. I'm not changing to the newer model there, but I will be buying them because I have to exhibit the updated version at expositions because that's what product will be available to the public. And so I have to stay current.
That leads to a question that has been asked a couple times. How much is the Beamer? How much does it cost? And then how does one get a Beamer?
Okay, the Beamer Essentials set is what is available right now in the USA for human use. The equine set is also available. And if you go to the website link that Celeste put in for me, you will be able to look at the link over to the shop. And it's at the top in the upper right corner, I think, in the menu. You can open that up and go to the shop and look. The Beamer Essentials set contains the control box, which is the lion's share of the cost, and the applicators that go with it, the body mat, the pad, and the spot coil. Those coils attach via magnetic connectors to the control box. So, and it also comes with a scanner. Okay, so the battery pack is separate, carry bag accessory is separate, and the seat cushion applicator is separate. So I have to work with people on what they want to get to help them tailor their order. But the essential set is going to be at a flat $4,990 price plus state sales tax, and that varies by state in the United States of America. In Canada, Beamer Canada, they charge Canadian dollars and it's more. So if you live in Canada and you're watching right now, I'll have to help you get to the Canadian order. And I might be able to help place those. I think I can. So, but work with me and I will help you. And if you go to my website there, it's HTTPS, you got your colon, you got your two backslashes, Daria Schooler, DARIA-SCHOOLER.beamergroup, BEMERGROUP.com. So daria-schooler.beamergroup.com. And my contact information is at the bottom of that screen. To shorten an email to make it easier, and I'll type it in and Celeste can put it in there. It's okay, come on, lowercase. It won't let me email. mywellnessvibe.com. Oh, mywellnessvibe@outlook.com. Okay, there we go. And I also will put in, you can have this email as well. Beamer email.
Just a sec. You got it in the wrong thing. So,
yeah, I can't, for some reason, I can't add to the, I'm not in YouTube, so I can't add to the, so I have to have you copy and paste for me.
Okay. I thought come on. Okay, I did it, I think. Okay. So we had the pre-show discussion, and so Patty is asking, is this a med bed?
You're going to love it because I came back from it might have been one of the red pills actually it might have been the one that I first met you at. I called Dr. Burka because we talk a lot. And I said to him, I said, is Beamer a med bed? And he goes, no. And again, it's because we don't have a specific mechanism, a patent, nothing. People just say, oh, med bed, almost like it's something magical, like a magic wand. Is this like a Harry Potter magic med bed? I don't know. I'd love to get the science. People talk about it. They talk around it. There are whole cottage industries, and excuse me, I'm going to call them grifters, that try to solicit money on various social media channels about med beds. And it's like, will someone please just tell me what it is? If something's that top secret and hidden and occult, is it even real? It could be, but we're not seeing it. And yet here you have a device that helps your God-given body get back to a natural function it has in good health before the onslaught of trauma and sickness and external toxins and energies and everything that gums up the works of our microcirculation and establishes the process that starts the aging changes in our bodies. Okay. That progressive deterioration does not have to happen that way. If you have a countermeasure like Beamer, and I'm using, that's my term, countermeasure. That's not a Beamer term. So just so you know, but I see it as a way to correct, if you will. It has that corrective function of restoring that rhythm that is so easily disrupted. And if you go to my YouTube channel, where we got one of the links from, and I'm sorry, I'll have to figure out how to get this to you. I actually, no, it's not on my channel. It's on Physicians for Ancestral Health. Okay. And so I think it's Physicians. If you type this title in, Celeste, I got to send it in the private chat again because I don't know how to get it.
That's fine.
Health YouTube channel, and look for my talk from January 2019 called Good Vibrations. Let me see, how did I do that? I'll try to pull it up real quick here. It's called The Role of, I think it's something like this. I can't type, sorry. I'm getting all excited. Role of microvascular, it's got a big wordy term because this was a continuing medical education talk. Vasomotion on tissue, perfusion, and drainage. Because again, this was a new concept for me, so I wanted to share with my colleagues the importance of the microvascular vasomotion so they can appreciate if we have a device that can help support that function, then the body has self-corrective capability, self-healing capability, and multiple remedies. And I'm going to, this is something else I share with everyone, especially at Red Pill, because we have so many supportive health devices that are available. I say, since Beamer is my foundational wellness tool, it's my baseline. It's like there with my toothbrush and my Bible. I mean, these are the things I don't go a day without. Then anything else one will do that has a specific application, be it a supplement, be it an energy therapy device, be it, you name it, something else, okay? Maybe some other electronic health device. Why wouldn't those simply be complementary and enhanced by better blood flow in your body? There are days where I get cold and I can't warm up fast because of, longstanding health challenges that I've had and my doctor looks after. And I will use a Beamer, but I will warm up in an infrared sauna first. And that combo is pretty amazing. But I don't do them both at once, but they can be done simultaneously. The general recommendation is if you have multiple energy type therapy tools, don't use them simultaneously if they're both PEMF devices. Okay. However, you can combine, and I do this routinely. I also have various therapeutic lights. I have something called a V light. It's for my nose. It's like a little laser, goes up your nose. It helped me, I think at least, I think it helped me get my sense of smell back after a respiratory ailment at the end of 2022 or 2021. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. And it was not COVID. I think it was actually a black mold allergy. So I could tell you that anecdotally. But it turns out the symptoms were very similar. And I don't want to get in the weeds here, but just my personal experiences, I have a number of those. And plus, I have a lot of supplements and food additives and, other products that I take every day that further help. One I will wholeheartedly endorse to anyone that can take it. I think it's just don't use in pregnancy as the one relative contraindication is black cumin seed oil. I take a teaspoon a day. I made Celeste take some of it when she was on the Beamer with her laryngitis. It's like, we're going to do everything we can to help your immune system. But that has had a tangible improvement in my gum health just by putting a teaspoon in my mouth, swishing it around for 30 seconds, and then swallowing it. There is something about black cumin seed oil that has been recognized for centuries as being a beneficial product. And you could also get Yeah.
real pulling has been for people
Yes.
that have Morgellons. It really does help people with Morgellons to just swish around in your mouth. I mean, it's not like as fun as mouthwash, you guys, but put some black cumin oil or oil in your mouth. Well, you want a high quality oil. You just don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry oil. And it will help if that, I mean, it helps pull out bacteria for gingivitis and like I said, Morgellons, just different things. But we're kind of off topic. I've got other questions. Here's
Mhm.
we better answer these questions. So I know that the Beamer is pricey. I know that, and there's some people on fixed incomes and other things that makes it cost prohibitive. So this is a great question from Mary, and it says, "Do you have a list of practitioners in each state?" So there's other health devices that, like, you can go to a naturopath or you can go to physical therapist, and some of these pricier devices like a hyperbaric chamber and such things. Um, is there a list of practitioners that maybe have a Beamer that you could go in and get for $20 or whatever they charge a session with the Beamer?
That's an excellent question. And there are, and it varies from state to state. And what I can do for everyone who wants to contact me personally and email me, I will personally reach out to practitioners in the area that have been on our calls. And I believe Dr. Burka may have a practitioner network because there are physical therapists, there are chiropractors, there are medical doctors that are incorporating this separate from, as like you said, a cash service. It's not billable to insurance on any level. That's not what Beamer has as far as a designation at this point in time. It may become that way later, and I don't want to get into medical coding, but for now, yes, people will charge for sessions. And I said the greatest benefit, and this is where you need to do the math, because if Beamer's helping you, if let's say you're going to see a clinician of some sort, a caregiver that has a Beamer, and you're paying, say, $20 a session, and you go every day for a week, or you go maybe twice a week or once a week, whatever you can afford, and you are seeing a tangible improvement over time, and maybe perhaps you're only getting 1 day's benefit, and then the next day you're still better, but you're not as benefited as you were the first day. And there's a lag effect. You have to be patient because Beamer is a subtle, gentle, restorative application. In other words, it's getting your blood flow back. And those muscles have to exercise, just like when you work out and lift weights. You have to work it to get the muscle memory back for your microcirculation. The reason that's important is look at your budget. If you find someone, a provider, a caregiver, a service, a therapy place, a wellness spa that has a Beamer, look at their menu. See if they have packages where you can sign up for 10 or 20 sessions for such and such few $100s. If you start to break that $1,000 mark in terms of how much you like this Beamer, you got to really look long and hard at, can I just budget for this? And instead of, find a way to pay for it. Okay. I don't know how else to say it. You can finance these. I know Google Finance works. Bread Finance has an application. There is a way to do installments with an order. And as an exhibitor distributor, independent business distributor, I don't get involved in financing. We're not allowed to, but we can have you click on those links, or we can see where they take you to so that you can start filling out your own application. I do know that the bread financing, because one of my friends tried to do that, it was not going to pay for the full price of the device. It was going to pay a portion. And again, that may have something to do with people's credit ratings. People can split it up to different credit cards. You can enter several different credit cards and break it out that way. Crowdfunding, people who personally have an issue and they need help and say, can you please help me get this $5,500 or whatever money you have to raise to cover your sales tax, because it varies from state to state. This helped me immensely, but I need help crowdfunding it. Families can pitch in. If you have several family members that want to share, and I have a specific this from one of my clients. It was a family of 3 ladies, and 2 were in the same family and 1 was a cousin. And the cousin and one of the immediate family members split the cost and share it. So they actually are visiting each other more, which is lovely. And it saved them a lot of money. So if you have that where you can at least get in there several times a week and use the beamer that you're sharing with someone else. And also think about groups. Dr. Burka told me there was a wellness health support group for a specific medical disorder, a neurological condition out in California. And that support group, I guess they had regular meetings. They all pitched in and bought the beamer to use at their regular meetings. So there's ways to pool funds to have access to beamer, and you got to find the most economical way to do that. But if you want a clinician practitioner, I can seek that out. I could try to find those for you because it's going to vary from location to location. And you can just go online too and say beamer sessions, New York City, and see what comes up. And I don't know how current some of those listings or postings are, but rather than have to spend a lot of time looking for that, I'll see what I can find you specifically. And Beamer has some social media you can go to as well that might help you.
So people can either write Celeste at celestialreport.com and I can get that to Daria, or you can write her directly. It's up to you. Another idea for pooling funds is your community, whether it's your faith community or your prepper group or whatever, and you could just have some devices that do different things. One question because we could get off on this, and I want to ask, so if you use a beamer, what about hydration? Do you need to drink like before or after? And you mentioned something about don't mix some modalities. So can you take your vitamins and then go lay down on the beamer right away, or is it better to space that out, or what?
The general guideline, and this can vary if somebody has a medically ordered fluid restriction for a specific medical condition that they don't want to have too much water, but 8 ounces every 2 hours is my recommendation, and it's Beamer's general recommendation when you're using Beamer on a daily basis. And you will feel thirstier because you are flushing. You're increasing flow into tissue, and you're draining those byproducts that get flushed out your colon, out your kidneys, processed through your liver. So you're eliminating more water, and you have to take in more water because you're just literally, it's like flushing the toilet, when your cells are emptying out that waste. So yes, stay hydrated. Beamer is far, far more effective when you have your blood vessels fully pumped up, if you will, with volume inside the vessels. One of the things I learned is somebody had a question in there. I'm going to skip ahead real quick, but had to do with lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic vessels also contain smooth muscle cells. They are fewer and farther apart than they are in the veins or the venules, the draining vessels, and which are also spaced out, but a little more regularly than in the lymphatics. And the microscopic supply vessels have contiguous smooth muscle cells. And that's one of the cartoon diagrams in Dr. Burka's presentation showed that. Almost looks like a ceramic tile on your floor where everything's adjacent, or a mosaic. Whereas in the veins, it's more like cobblestones. And in the lymphatics, the spacing of those smooth muscle cells is more like stepping stones. They're further spaced apart. And because of that, I found personally that when I use my Beamer to help with, like, when you feel bloated or whatever, I need it on the higher application levels for the applicators. Body settings, I stick to my basic program. And then for supply and energy, that improved energy level I talked about, improved athletic performance, that type of thing, at the regular levels will help with that. So it's a nice tool to have some versatility with, depending on who you are and how sensitive you are to it. I know one lady had issues where she was super sensitive to energy. She had to start out using it for 4 minutes a day before she could go up to 6 to 8, and then to 8 minutes twice a day. And the longer she used it, the better her tolerance got, the better those muscles got trained with the blood flow responsiveness, the more benefits she got over time. So you have to have the wisdom to know that you're going to have some early effects that are more in the relaxation and rest piece, but over time, the cumulative benefit of your body's self-repair becomes manifested with daily, regular, twice daily use of the body mat, the body roll
Okay,
mat.
Loretta has a question
Yes.
for us. Can the beamer be set to different frequencies for different problems in the body?
No, beamer has specific programming. Works at 2 frequencies, 10 hertz alternating with 30 hertz. And those 2 frequencies are the specific pacing rhythm of that rhythmic vasomotion. This is a vasomotion device. It's working on blood flow. Your body knows what to do with those conditions when it has adequate blood flow. That's why, yes, supplements are fine. I take my supplements. I take a bunch of them with supper. I take my prescriptions that I have to take for those health challenges I told you about. Some of those I have to take in the morning. It's just a couple. I'll be 63 next week, so, or about 2 weeks.
Still
so that's
spring chicken.
I know, I'm still a spring chicken. I'm better though than I was 20 years ago, thanks to Beamer. I'll tell you that right now. I can honestly say that. So, but yeah, it's what you don't want to use simultaneously would be 2 different electrical stimulation devices. So if you have some other type of machine that has, let's say, those variable frequencies you were talking about that do potentially have some benefit for you. I couldn't speak to those specifically, but if you feel like you need to target a particular function with a particular device, just don't do it at the same time as Beamer. I usually recommend any other type of energy treatment. You may want to use that first and then use the Beamer last, because then the rhythm delivered to the blood flow is not being disrupted by those other signals. So you establish whatever, if you can even space them out and I say stagger it. So let's say you want to do some other type of dial in your frequency for your ailment condition. Do that 6 hours after your morning Beamer session and 6 hours before your evening Beamer session. So you have them spaced out so you can optimize the benefit from both. And that's not any medical device. It's just, I'm telling you common sense. And it's something I learned from way back in pharmacy and dosing medications. Sometimes when you stagger your medicines, they don't interfere with each other. For example, I don't take my minerals when I take my one replacement therapy I take in the morning, because the minerals would bind to my replacement and it wouldn't be effective. So it's the same thing here. Think of it that way as energy therapy. I don't like the word electroceuticals or nutraceuticals. Those words bother me. But if you think of it as an application, like I said, it's like your toothbrush. You need to clean your teeth. You need to have proper nutrition. You need to exercise. You need to get sunlight. Oh my goodness, I love sunlight. But Beamer helps you get back to that rhythm that's been disrupted by stress, the autonomic nervous system getting out of balance, into the vicious cycle where you develop some type of chronic ailment. It might be something you're predisposed to because of it runs in your family. And then that creates that vicious cycle with worse circulation until you get to the point where you're really, really sick. So Beamer tries to get ahead of that by simply maintaining and sustaining better blood flow rhythm independent of what you're hit with. And some people do need to potentially use it more. So, but the twice daily is the recommended safe treatment that will keep you out of excessive detox and excessive dehydration, and especially early on. I can use it aggressively now because I've been using it for 5.5 years. I have that good muscle memory and I know how to use the Beamer for myself. But early on, you want to start low at the lower intensity settings and slow. And in other words, get used to one intensity level you're comfortable with that doesn't cause you a lot of excessive detox symptoms. And then once you're past that point where your body's eliminated some of the accumulated waste that you've had in your system, then you can go up to your next level. So no, it doesn't change frequencies, but you can change intensities. But the waveform and the signal remain the same throughout the intensities.
There's different times. Like you can 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and then there's like a pre-program mode. So it is programmable in that sense.
Yes.
It's the time that you're getting the signal. And then there's also a sleep mode. And we've got at least one more question, and then we should probably wrap up. So I don't know that this has anything to do with the beamer or not, but I'll put it out to you. This is by Sherry. What are your thoughts on drip bars?
Is that, are they talking about infusion centers by any chance?
I think she must be talking infusion, because then she puts another comment. Not sure I trust what comes out of the needle. That scares me to death in today's world.
And that's an excellent concern. And I hate to say this, it pains me to say it as a physician and a pharmacist, but I am at the same concern because the quality controls have failed on the most recent rollout and I don't want to go into that other subject, but if quality control fails, you're going to get in trouble. And that's why, think about it, how many drug recalls and food recalls and product recalls happen? And it's usually because of a failure of quality control. So you're right. That doesn't mean that they're bad, but as someone, I know a nurse practitioner who's an infusion therapist. If they can be assured quality of the product they're using and they're using proper sterile technique, then that's why they pay for liability insurance if it doesn't go properly. There is an adverse effect because we can't. That's why we all buy, for people who buy insurance. We carry insurance for those unknowns and uncertainties. What we can't control is if something's deliberately being adulterated. And so I'm talking around the question. So drip bars depends on where you go. Is it a back alley drip bar, or is it a legitimate infusion center run by a nurse who has credentials or a doctor? And are they backing it credentials and with their liability coverage? And so you have to vet people. I agree 100%. And you want to utilize, excuse me, I got a tickle. You have to vet the source of that treatment. And that's why I like Beamer, because I have it in my house. I'm in charge. I know the quality control that's in this machine. I had to fly all the way to Liechtenstein to see how they're made, because that's where they're built, in one single building. That's how tight the quality control is. Nothing's outsourced. And it's been that way for 25 years. So when you have that level of trust in a quality system, and that those devices are drop shipped directly from the Liechtenstein manufacturing source directly to the buyer. They don't go through any other distribution centers. So that, again, is a very positive thing, that you've eliminated a lot of middlemen. Other than however they get them here, it's got to be air freight is the best I can tell. And they can't be the control box can't be put in the luggage compartment, because it could affect the luggage compartment, I should say. So when people fly with their Beamers, I tell them, carry it in your carry-on bag. It is a medical device. It does not go into the checked luggage. Either they get bounced around, or there's something with the pressure changes that affect it, but you lose warranty coverage if that happens. And Beamer devices, when you spend that money, you have a 3-year warranty. So that's important.
I have these tennis shoes that had air baffles back to FEMA. And when I got there, I was being trained to be an incident commander, and they were going squeak, 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 because it lost the air baffles, because I had put them in my checked luggage. And I did get my money back, because I bought them from a store that would do that. But Well, we're going
Wow.
to have to close for today. This has been just a fascinating discussion. I'm really excited. You can contact Daria at her website over in the chat, or you can contact me, Celeste, at celestialreport.com, and I can get uh, the questions or comments or whatever you have to Daria because we talk pretty frequently. So we've become good friends over this whole thing. And with Beamer, it's kind of like a family. It's a
Very
family
much.
of good health, and both spiritually, mentally, and physically. So I just want to thank all of you for your interest in today's Healthy Monday on the Beamer product. I hope that we answered most of your questions. I'll probably see some questions that we didn't, I missed. But like I said, just feel free to email those to me. And if it's not something I can answer, then I can pass it along to Daria. So I thank you so much. And we will see you next Monday for Healthy Monday.
Thank you so much. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Daria.
And I'm happy that the tornado hasn't hit yet. I've had a tornado warning for the last 20, 30 minutes.
Okay, I'll just keep you in prayer.
Hey, praise God. Praise God. Absolutely. So everyone stay strong and, keep looking up. God has blessed us so much. And I think we're all getting in each other's paths for a reason. And we have a purpose to serve. So just remember it's his purpose.